guys haven't seen because I filmed them and then I'm like, okay, and I'm gonna read them and update you guys on them, and then I hate every book in the haul, or I get so discouraged by the amount that I hate that I don't read them. So I don't like to put them in the haul because it's like such an unsatisfying conclusion to see me be like, and I didn't like any of them. But I thought I would talk to you guys about this one specifically because I really dislike one of these books. So first I'm going to show you the haul, and I'll end with the 2 books that I'm currently reading. So I found a new cozy mystery at the library, and I'm very excited about it. It's called Death by Bubble Tea, and I'm almost too scared to read it because I'm pretty excited about it. It takes place in LA, and I mean, it's about an LA night market. I think that's pretty exciting. But the past 2 cozy mysteries I've read have been like duds, and I like, usually if I'm in a reading where I feel like, okay, I'll do a cozy mystery that will get me back into reading, but no. So I am excited about this. I have no review update for it, but I got that. This book called The Four Humors, which has been on my TBR list since I last saw it. It's about a woman who thinks she's going to take her MCAT and ends up having to take care of her grandmother. It's kind of just, seems like it might just be like general fiction, delving into her parents' past, told with pathos. I have found recently the books that I tend to be able to at least bully my way through are more romance books, and this seemed kind of cute. It's about a literary agent and an actor, and they fall in love. Of course they do. But I hope there's like a little bit more of like a D&D referential thing in this, because I do like that. I will update you guys if I read these books or not. Like, I'm committed to this video because I really truly feel like I was in an era of like, I'm reading, I'm everything I'm picking up, I'm loving. And I was like loving everything I was finding on Libby. I was loving all the audiobooks I was reading on Libby. But now I feel kind of like uninspired and I don't know what to read. Frame. Anyways, I just don't think that necessarily I'm like, this is gonna be my new all-time favorite book, but I picked it up because it looked interesting. I was really trying to just go with whatever seemed interesting to me. I have The Cat Who Saved Books, which is a short little novel about a talking cat and this boy who's closing his like grandparents' shop, and he's trying to like save books from bad owners. It reminds me of books I used to find in my elementary school library that I used to just pick up randomly and then like love. There was this book I read called Pet Sematary, and to be honest with you, I partially wonder if that book is like a kid's version of the Stephen King book, because I don't remember anything that's about that. And there was these 2 books that I loved in elementary school about dolls that came to life, and I remember they got like stuck in the bathroom. I remember reading that book over and over again. It was just some random book I found in my elementary school library. So this like brought back some nostalgia for me. I love a talking cat. I love a cat. It seems pretty cozy, and also like discovery of like self and life. And it's about like exploring sex and sexuality, and I thought maybe something like this, like a nonfiction kind of short story essay. And the reason I picked it up is because Louise Erdrich is featured, and I really like the books and works of hers I've read. She's a pretty famous, well-known like Indigenous author, and I've only read 2 of her books, but a lot of her books are like on my I have to read list. I just know that they're going to be a little bit more serious than some other books that I want to read when I'm like in the mood for it. But I've read The Sentence and The Night Watchman, and I liked both of them, and I want to pick up one of her books for the classics I missed video I want to work on. So I was excited about this, and I thought, oh, something that's kind of like short essays and stuff like that would be kind of fun to read. And they don't tell you who wrote what. So I can't just be like, I just want to read Louise Erdrich, but they will feature different stories. So they're all credited, but they're just not attached to which essay, which I thought was kind of cool. I've talked about this book multiple times, but Ta-Nehisi Coates' The Water Dancer. This is a book I used to take out all the time on Libby, and then I wouldn't get around to reading it. Because I do think there are some books that do lend themselves better to be read like in person. Like, I cannot read A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on ebook. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm being snobby. I don't know if I'm being weird, but I just like can't do it. And so I like need to take that out in like a physical form book. So then I started taking it out, but the hardcover book is like huge. I really don't like reading like huge hardcover books. I find it so hard to read. So they do offer the large print and paperback, and I feel kind of bad taking it, but it's been at the library the past 6 times I've been. So I don't think anybody else is like, vying for it. But if I do not read this by next Thursday, or if I don't start it, I think I will. I just took this out. So in 2 Thursdays, technically I have 3 weeks with every book I take out, but with this, because it is a specifically like an accommodation, I do not want to like hoard it. About a woman who was robbed of all of her memory, but is somehow like saved by some mysterious power, and later that power comes in to help, and it's a story about like plantation workers and the South, and the idealization of the North, and things that are happening there, and kind of, I don't want to say like weird fiction, but it's a fiction story that uses, I think I would say probably based off the synopsis, like magical realism as a way to highlight some issues, but I could be wrong. So maybe this is something I'll pick up this week. I have kind of a busy week, but that doesn't mean it's bad or anything. It's just going to be a busy week. Okay, so I have 3 more books in my library haul, one of which I have read and 2 of which I am currently reading. One of those 2 is definitely a DNF, and I want to talk about that, so I'm going to do that one last. So I read Full Exposure, which is a romance novel, and this is like one of the few books I've been able to finish. I finished it this week. I enjoyed it. Solid C. It's told from 2 perspectives about a woman named Josie and a boy named Spencer who meet in New Orleans. Like they have a meet cute, and then they have a second meet cute because they didn't like exchange numbers. Josie is very rigid, very uptight. She feels like she has to take care of her family a lot, and that has really pushed her to be very burnt out. She runs a boudoir photography business in DC, and she has a solid group of friends and a very close relationship with her sister. Spencer is a little bit more of an unplanned free spirit, but he's kind of like a recovering eldest child, where he went away to DC and was sending all this money back and worked a job he hated, and when he got let go, he came back home to New Orleans, and he's trying to figure out like what it is that he likes and wants to do, and they bump into each other. I like the inclusion of the history of like the Vietnamese people in New Orleans, although I do think it's very clear like both the people in this book are people that don't normally you get stories written about, but because the author is, I'm assuming she's Vietnamese, she writes a lot of stories about Vietnamese people, but is Vietnamese, there's so much lived in understanding history of the bias of Vietnamese people and Asian people, and the Black character I feel like feels a little bit like not as well understood, but it's still good. I just feel like I noticed the disparation between the 2, but they fall in love. I would say some of the sex scenes are good. Look, here's the thing about sex scenes. Something might be sexy for some people, and some things may not be sexy for other people, and nothing is bad about them, and nothing is wrong. There are like words that I don't think are sexy, or they take me out of it. There are a couple times where I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. There is a shower sex scene, which for me is always just like so unrealistic, but I do like the sensualness they have for each other. And I like the third act conflict. The third act conflict for me is one of the better ones I've read in a romance and seen. It's not just like miscommunication. It's like we knew that this was going to have to end, and I'm just ending it sooner. And I don't know, I think it's the most true to life third act conflict I've seen in a while. And so I enjoyed it. I give this book like a B-. Definitely lovely, definitely sweet. A little bit of like insta love, but I don't mind that because I could see it. I will say I wish that you got the perspective shift at each chapter. That doesn't happen. Each chapter can have just one of their perspectives or both of their perspectives. Sometimes it switches back and back again. And I feel like, what's the point of having chapters if the chapters don't delineate anything necessary? Like, I would like that to mean we're switching perspectives. But because you're getting the dual perspective, and like my biggest gripe with A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, I get why both these characters are into the other character. On top of, they just think they're like incredibly hot, which is like, I'm down for that. And we don't even necessarily get like their time together, but this is something that like Books and Lala says in her reviews, and it's something I noticed. We do get to see them together because the meet cute happens fairly early, and they spend so much time together in the early parts of the book. It's just that like that has to end because one of them is on vacation, so you still get to see them together for a while, which is nice. So you get to see their interaction and you get to see them fall in love. It's not like friends to lovers or enemies to lovers and the book ends right when they kiss or something. Like, you get to see them interact and be together, and so I really like that. People I took out, which I'm considering DNFing, is Ghost Music. I really wanted to love it. It's about a character who is just kind of like going through a time. It's short. It's like 220 pages. So not particularly long. So it takes place in Beijing, and it takes place with this woman who is married to this man named Bowen, who goes away after he like moves his mother-in-law in, and she finds out information about him, but they have this bond over mushrooms. And she used to be a pianist, and she's getting like weird notes from this famous pianist that went missing. The book is weird. Like, I oftentimes find I don't understand what's happening. Our main character is so crazy passive in a way that is so infuriating, and also I don't think it's going to lead to greater development. Her husband is like constantly missing, constantly on the grind for work. Her mother-in-law doesn't really like her, is constantly pushing them for like why they don't have kids. And then something is revealed by one of their friends to her, and she's like, I didn't fucking know that. And then she's like, what do I not know about this person? But not like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna find like dead bodies in the basement, kind of like, oh no, like I've been living with a murderer kind of thing. Just like, she doesn't know, and she doesn't seem overly pressed that she doesn't know, which is the opposite of me. And again, it's good to read books where the main character isn't doing what you would do, but it's just like, I keep reading books like that, and I just don't think that I can read a book about a woman finding out that her husband may or may not have a ex-wife and being like, should I call him? I'd hate to bother him. I'm just gonna drink myself to sleep every day and lose my job. I'm like, girl, get the fuck out. Absolutely not. And the other thing too is, it's like, it just seems like, oh, my camera is saying it's gonna die. It just seems like she's so passive about the whole thing in a way that I'm like, why are you being so passive about it? Not in like a, what would society think of me? What can I do? We're trapped. I have kids. She just is so like blasé. They don't have kids. They don't do anything like that. All right, let's really test the limits of how long. So I might DNF it. I've been reading it for like 2 weeks, and I'm like halfway through, and I just am not into it. So yeah, it's okay to DNF it. Wow, this recently is like adding a lot of stuff to my DNF books list. This book I know I'm DNFing. It's called 7 X's. I was so excited to pick it up. It's about this girl, Esther, who's 30, who is having a hard time finding love, and then she reads this article, and she finds out that you get 7 exes in your life, and one of those people is the love of your life based off some, like, science. The conceit of that is fine to me. That's cute. I was expecting something a little bit like Scott Pilgrim. I don't know why. I just thought it would be like that. It is not. First of all, it is both painfully British and painfully millennial written. The first couple chapters I bullied through because there's parts of it that were like a lot, but I also lived with my 2 best friends and after college, and I was like, I think they both got like female friendship, like living, snuggling together, like after being hungover, right? But also did it in a way that I was like, have you ever done this? because some of the wording and the slang, and I was just like, I don't sound like I'm a Disney Channel cool girl. Our main character is just insufferable. First of all, I don't think I need another book written about women not finding love and like needing to find love. And I've read 7 chapters of it, so 58 pages. I'm DNFing it. Why I'm DNFing it is Esther is insufferable, and I just don't like the conceit of the book. She is trying to find the love of her life, but she's not doing anything. Like, she just met up with her first ex, which was her first love. And first of all, it's so crazy to listen to somebody talk about, like, she was like, we were losers, we were this, and then she's talking to this man, and he's like, no, you guys were the coolest girls in school, everybody wanted to be like you. And I just can't imagine having that kind of dichotomy. And I also feel like she really does live a lot in the past of high school. And she also didn't realize how much of a shitty person she was being to this boy when she broke up with him. And as somebody who also was in a long-term committed relationship in high school that did not end well and was pretty traumatic to break up with, I felt so bad for, like, this person who seemingly has lived her entire life with huge insecurity and never talked about it, but also hurt a bunch of people in doing so and living that way. But what really got me was, again, she is on a date with this guy. They're catching up after not seeing each other for 10 years. And she can say nothing except for her job. And she's just like, I can't wait to meet somebody, to be in a relationship so that I can start living my life. And that is not how the world works. And I'm sure that ends up being the conceit of this book, that Cosmo article is wrong. And you can date a lot of people and not one of them has to be the one that got away. I'm sure that's what this book is going to be. But I don't really want to go along on the journey because she's insufferable. Also, they're supposed to be in England, but I'm so confused because I thought that in England you didn't have to pay for university, which I could be wrong on. I could just assume everything is great in Europe and I'm just a stupid American. And also, she like has a roommate and she's so careless. She's like, I never learned my roommate's name. I don't remember any of my friends from college. She like seemingly thinks she's so lame that she doesn't have to do anything to help anybody, to listen to anybody, and she just passes through people's life and then goes, well, I was a loser, you guys didn't want to know me. And I feel like that's such a shitty way to go through the world, especially as a basically 30-year-old. And also another book where I'm sure they're going to subvert that turning 30 isn't the end of your life, but I just don't need another book about it, okay? Especially because I don't think they're going to do a good enough job subverting it. And I'm not saying you can't write books about it, but I just feel like, why does our main character have to have that so internalized and also be so nothing? She's so nothing. She just wants to have a boyfriend and a husband, but is seemingly bringing nothing to a relationship because she actively says that she has nothing. And not like, I don't have a pot to piss in or just whatever. She seemingly has really great female friendships and a job that she loves, and she believes that she's bringing nothing into a relationship. Girl, you're never gonna find anybody doing that shit. And I just feel like so much personal growth has to happen for me to believe that this person is ready to get married, even if she did meet the one. And I'm sure it's gonna happen, and she's gonna go on this journey and meet all 7 people from different parts of her life and realize how she has been cutting herself short or been shitty or been any of those things, and she's going to grow and learn from that. But like I said, I don't really want to join her in the journey because I don't like her. And the thing is like, there's a lot of people in this world that do need a lot of growing, and I'm sure they would be great people by the end of it. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to like some people, and you're not going to like some people, and some people aren't going to, and that's totally fine. But I don't want to read a book about them. So like I said, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.